Welcome. Sometimes you may have to work on a project where things need to work a little bit differently. That could be that the client has specific requirements for how files need to be named, or that simply maybe you have projects in your filing system that are using an old folder structure that varies from your current folder structure, but they're still active, or various other scenarios. In Xrev Transmit, we have ways of dealing with this. We have project overrides. So if we open up our settings, these general settings apply generally to all projects. However, we have a project tab where much of these settings are replicated, and if information is entered in here, it overrides the general settings, and these settings are only applicable to the active project you have at the moment. So in this circumstance, the project number on this project is 10225. So only with projects with that project number with these settings apply. So they may need a different output location, so we could do the exact same thing we would do on the general tab, but we could define a completely different folder location for these files. So percentage user profile Xrev Transmit / different, and I might put in the project number. We can tell it to use a different profile by default, so that's the format profile. So at the moment there's only one, so we won't bother doing that. We can tell it to use a custom revision parameter, so you may have a particular client where they require their revisioning letters and numbers to work a little bit differently that maybe Revit doesn't support, so therefore you've had to use a custom revision parameter on this particular project. So you could enable that and set the revision parameter name, so say it was called custom revision, or we can just use the default setting, or we can disable it. So basically, if by default you use a custom revision parameter, you can choose to, so in the default option it would use that custom revision parameter. If it's disabled, it would ignore that and use the inbuilt Revit revisioning system. We can also specify a different naming convention and therefore output location for the transmittal. We can also run a different post-processing command on these particular files. So one of your clients may require DWG files in a particular format, so you may write to run another AutoCAD script on those particular files. And that's basically it. So again, it's only applicable for the active project. So if you opened up a different project with a different project number, all these settings would be blank because they'll be just using the standard global settings. Alright, I hope that makes sense. Thanks.